Hi, this is Ken Schwartz, Precise Sharpening, and this is a continuation of the series where we are using a sequence of natural stones to refine the surface and the Kasumi finish on the Moritaka knife that's been used in the earlier series. So the last stone that I used was a Omura, or more specifically a Kyushu Omura, a natural stone. I was quite pleased with it. It gave a good bit finer finish than I had expected. So because of that, we are skipping the Amakusa and going on to this Tajima. This is also a middle grit stone, or Nakado type stone, as opposed to the polishing stones or the coarser arata type stones. So let's get this going, and I'll also mention that this stone comes in a smaller size like this, and this stone will fit in a standard stone holder, works quite well. You can see what it looks like wet. It's a very pretty stone. So I'm going to actually use this stone as a tomonagura for the other stone, just to get things going. This is my own stone, and I put some coating around the side of it, but normally the stone comes like this without the coating on it. So just to let you know. So let's get started on this. And I'm going to build up a little bit of mud to begin with. Again, for those of you not familiar, using the same stone as the original stone is called a tomonagura, or same nagura, same type stone, as opposed to some of the more traditional naguras like the koma nagura, and of course there are the stones that are referred to as synthetic naguras. I don't really consider them naguras, but more just slurry stones. So let's build this up. I'll also mention while I'm doing this that when you use the diamond lapping plates, even the finer diamond lapping plates, you get a coarser slurry that then has to further break down. So the tomonagura really gives you the finest nagura for a stone. So here we go, and let's see how this works. Now, I've used this stone before several times and been quite impressed with it, but I'll be interested to see how it is in this natural sequence. So you can see that the mud is almost immediately getting fairly dark fairly quickly, which is a sign of high grit density, or a fast rate of abrasion. And this is generally a positive thing for a stone. There are times when you want to go a little slower, but this isn't one of them. So here we go, and it's producing a nice mud. In general, the tomonaguras seem to get the show on the road a little faster. And as with all natural stones, the mud acts as a bit of an interface layer, so that you're sharpening more on the mud than directly on the stone. And this tends to produce a less scratchy result in general. Even, on a stone that doesn't have a lot of scratchiness, it's still smoother. It's essentially like having a little bit of lubrication in an automobile engine. That even if the cylinder and piston are honed to pretty precise dimensions, a little lubrication in between makes for less friction, smoother ride. So it's working very nicely. I definitely like the feel of this stone, and we'll see how it's coming. Let's keep going for a little bit longer. In general, it's usually nicer to take a little bit more time with natural stones than with synthetics, because part of what you're doing, in addition to the initial abrasion, is breaking down the mud and making the mud ever finer. So, unlike the synthetics, you're actually further refining the edge as the mud refines. So, it's an advantage for natural stones. It allows you to go with a slightly bigger jump between stones than you would with synthetics, because again, the stone itself is refining as you use it, or at least the mud that is the interface. So let's see, very nice, still maintaining very high contrast, nice finish. It's both a pleasurable stone to work, as well as very effective, very quick. Work a little bit more. And you also, just as a general rule, have less of a tendency to develop very large burrs on natural stones as opposed to synthetics. So let's take a good look at this edge and see what we've got. Okay, so let's take a look at this, and we can see that the soft cladding is, the scratch pattern has gotten even finer. Let's see if we can go from here. And interestingly, this steel below the soft steel, or hogami, is getting a little bit brighter as well. It's very nice. Very consistent finish. You can compare it to the previous finish, and you can see a further level of refinement compared to what you had before. Wipe this off and we'll take another look at it dry. It's very nice. It's also quite quick. Alright, so that's what it's looking like on this side. And let's contrast it to the previous finish, where we see a still, coarser, slightly coarser scratch pattern in there. A little bit more of a matte finish on the hogami. Very nice. It's a very nice jump. Anyhow, I'll continue to refine it before we go on to the next stone, and I'll probably decide which one it is. Probably the Meara stone. This is something that we've been talking about a while on the forums, and definitely worth seeing. So again, this is the Tajima stone, available in a full brick size, as well as the smaller size. And the smaller size would be reasonable to use on an Edge Pro as well. And if somebody's interested in that, they can talk to me regarding the details. I can always be reached at email ksskss@earthlink.net. Thank you again. I hope you enjoyed this. Bye-bye. This is Ken Schwartz of Precise Sharpening, and so I just finished using the Tajima stone with tomonagura, and just wanted to briefly show you the edge on it, the final result. Let's take a look at it, see if we can catch it well in the light. And if we look at it more closely, we see that the soft cladding, the scratch pattern, is a good bit finer, a good bit cloudier. The gani is pretty clean. And so what we're going to be doing next is going on to the Mayara stone. Just briefly, in terms of sharpness coming off of this stone, just a smooth, effortless cut, push cuts, quite clean. So in many instances, this could be used as a final polish on most people's stones, for most tasks. The edge is it's quite sharp, but we're going to keep going a little bit, and I'm going to clean it up, and the next stone that I'll be introducing will be the Mayara stone. Rather large, thick stone, very smooth surface, and we'll go into it in a little more detail in the next video. Again, thank you for your attention.